All right. Hi, I'm your host, Tony, and this is
Kimona, the co-host.
I want you all to like, subscribe, and share. The links are below, and this is available on YouTube and all podcast platforms. So come on, make sure y'all like it, subscribe, and share it. Thanks. Hello, my name is Tony. I'm the host of Bougie Bayou Witches podcast. Welcome aboard. And today we're going to be talking about a very important topic about mental health. And right here, this is going to be one of my guests that will be discussing the mental health. This is
Charlie. I go by Charlie. My name is Charleszetta Moore. I am qualified. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I currently work in the field.
all right. And this will be my other guest,
Jasmine.
Yes. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to let Miss Charlie go ahead and get started with the facts and some of the brief things that she would like to discuss and talk about mental health.
Yes. So when we speak about mental health, people typically ask, what is mental health? Mental health is your overall psychological, social well-being, and it is very important because 1 in 5 adults in America experiences mental illnesses. And mental health conditions are not uncommon. You have your schizophrenia, your bipolar, anxiety, depression is a big mental health issue that a lot of people experience, along with anxiety. Those issues have increased, of course, since COVID, just due to people, the situations, finances, economics. So we're seeing more of those issues present themselves. You have a lot more people being diagnosed, and that's just due to mental health being more widely regarded now.
Wow. So, I mean, it's really important, for us as human beings, people, black, white, whatever color, to really just pay attention to our mental health, and, like when it comes to the mental health, do you see a lot of children and adults basically, or which one do you see the most of that you have to work with the mental health?
I'm currently working in the field right now. I work with adults, but what I've noticed is there is a lot of trauma that stems from childhood that transitions through adulthood.
Correct.
So that is a big factor that we're seeing now. Like people don't know how to deal with these childhood traumas. In the Black community, there are a lot of stigmas associated with mental health. I found different cultures, they don't believe that mental health is real.
Yeah, and that's sad because it's really real. I can sometimes see children and stuff, and I be like, I bet their parents don't even really know their baby has a problem because they overlook and just feel like, oh no, they're just regular, they're just hyperactive, or they're this and they're that, when really they could have a mental health problem and they want to overlook that.
And I think a lot of it is people not really knowing what to look for or just understanding the signs that mental illness presents. What we may think is just them being hyperactive, that may be a beginning stage of a mental health disorder, ADHD, ODD. Of course, we do know that bipolar really presents itself in the later years, the later teen years, 18 to 21. That's when it's most prevalent.
So between 18 and 21, that's a lot of times when people do find out that they're bipolar. Oh, wow.
So, and it's really interesting because they show no signs, and all of a sudden,
it's like they show them.
Yeah, things change. And a lot of it is severe. It's really severe. The outbursts, the violence that can be associated with it. And, people don't know that they're actually experiencing an active mental health episode, And with that, I mean, we've seen situations to where people have been killed because of the officers responding, not understanding or how to deal with a person that's experiencing.
And that's another thing that they need to work on. They need to train these officers to not just assume that everybody is a normal person and realize that some of these individuals that you are going to go after might have a mental health problem, and that you might need to go about the situation differently than thinking that they're a normal individual. Not everybody's normal. Some people do have mental health issues, you know?
Right.
So I agree.
And I mean, even with that, we're seeing more healthcare workers, more law enforcement workers experiencing mental health issues too.
Yeah.
So for myself, you know, as a clinician, being observant to not only my clients, but the people that I work with.
Right.
I mean, you know, it is a field that's tough. It's a field that's really tough. And you're dealing with people who have issues. I mean, it goes beyond mental health. 9 times out of 10, they're homeless. They're in a. It's more than just dealing with mental health. It's the overall being of the person. They don't have a stable financial situation.
Right.
So, you know, these are factors that plays into getting them the treatment that they need.
Right.
You're not just only giving them medicine, providing them counseling. You're having to make sure that they have a place to stay, that they have food, that they have, you know, the financial resources to take care of themselves. Because, you know, of course, just like us, if we can't pay our rent, you know, that presents a problem to us.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you walk in the house and your lights don't come on, you know, that's a whole different type of situation. That's a strain on your mental health.
Yeah, I agree with this.
So you take these people who have these diagnosed issues, you know, and you compile it just with life issues. It's a
it could be a lot. It could be a toll on them.
Right. And with the responding officers, you know, they have things going on aside of work. You know, they have life issues.
Right.
So I think as a clinician, it's very important that we get the adequate training to be able to assist with these situations. And I don't think that that's what's happening.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So,
Self-care. If, you know, we live in what I like to call a microwave society. Everybody wants it quick. You know?
So true.
Yeah.
And that's just not how it works. You know, when you look at assisting someone else, you have to make sure your cup is full.
Yeah.
You know, you have to make sure your cup is full, and that means taking care of your psychological, social, mental well-being in order to pour into somebody.
So true.
And I think a lot of us as healthcare workers, like, that's the part we miss. So when you take a officer responding to a situation, you know, they're probably burned out as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything that they're dealing with is more on the law enforcement side, not taking into account that the mental health of this client, you know? So it's really interesting. I do think that more training needs to be done with the responding officers.
Right.
I think that employers should incorporate more self-care
Okay.
for the workers, because a lot of that depends on how they respond.
Right. I totally agree.
If I'm stressed, overworked, like, I'm going to be hostile because I'm tired, you know, or if I need to take off, but I can't because we're short-staffed, right? There's not that balance there.
Right.
There's not that balance for me to practice self-care.
Right.
And you get into that when you talk about mental health. People are not practicing self-care like they should. Right. Yeah. And it takes a toll. You know, you have to take that time out for yourself because we are in a microwave society. You know, it goes fast.
So true.
It goes fast, and you don't want to drain yourself trying to be there for other people.
Right.
So,
So let me ask you some questions. So, Jazz, have you ever, you know, like, experienced a lot of, you know, like, mental health situations with yourself as well as, like, maybe with your children or with a partner you've been dating?
Oh, absolutely. I would say, and I also agree, go back to COVID. I have at the time, I had 3 school-age children and a brand new baby that was born in May of 2020. and the whole world shut down.
Right.
So when everyone had to be homeschooled, you learned a lot about your kids.
Yes.
But it was finding that balance. It was trying to figure out, okay, we're being told don't go outside. We can't do any of the things that we do to decompress from our work week and our load. And then on top of that, we're all in the house together.
Yes.
And that was one of the hardest times of my life, and I'm sure many others. And then you feel, and then for me, it was being pregnant for some of that year and then having a new baby. And I was grieving the fact that I finally get to have a girl, but I didn't get to have a baby shower. My family hasn't seen me. Wow. And then I started feeling guilty, like people are dying and this is what you're worried about.
True.
So my mind was racing, my mind, wanting to stay safe, wanting to make sure my newborn is safe, my children are safe, but also needing to go outside, needing to get other people's interactions. And it was a whirlwind of emotions. And then my fiance still had to work, transportation. So it was hard. It was really, really hard. And I think now I'm starting to realize, wait a minute, you did go through a lot, and it's okay to give yourself credit for making it. And it's not to discredit what other people went through, but I also had to pay attention to me and my children and my fiance and our experience during that time as well. Right. I'm constantly having to check in with my kids even now. How are you feeling? How are you doing mentally? And I have, like I said, I have four different personalities around my house. Everyone's different. Everybody responded different. So even just that dynamic alone, being a mom with multiple children is a lot. I believe in therapy. I'm an advocate for therapy. I am in therapy. My children are in therapy. Because there has to be a way to decompress and kind of,
Yeah, totally agree.
And with that being said, I have a therapist as well. And, the thing that I tell the people that I work with, if your therapist doesn't have a therapist, you might want to get a new therapist. I mean, because you have to think, just what you said, we're decompressing all of this. Yeah. So who are they decompressing to?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like who are they releasing to?
Yeah.
And therapy is important.
Absolutely.
Very, I totally agree.
I'm a single mom, 2 kids. So just that whole experience of having to be present with the line of work that I chose, like it's very, self-care is very important.
Absolutely.
And we're still trying to get over the COVID, still checking in to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
And balancing my mental health as well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I'm going to be honest with y'all. When it comes to mental health, it does run in my family and stuff like that. I do have a brother that is considered schizophrenic. And, I feel a lot of times, too, it just came from him being, institutionalized, ever since he was 17. He's been, in and out of jail. Jail has mainly been his home. And he doesn't currently live here. He stays in Los Angeles. But, he's constantly in and out. And constantly I'm talking to him, when I do get a chance to, and let him know, take your meds. That's the only way you're going to stay on track and stuff. And just, just seeing the different people that go through this and this mental health, it's sad. And just even me having a spiritual store and just talking to different people that come in that are, going through depression and anxiety and dealing with a lot of stuff in life, it's sad. It's like, even though I'm not a licensed therapist, I'm like, a spiritual therapist giving them, basically, some suggestions and advice and stuff to do to help them out with themselves, since I am considered a healer and I help people out, spiritually and stuff like that. So I do feel like mental health as well as self-love, a lot of that is really very important.
Absolutely.
I don't really feel like a lot of people really look at it that way. I don't really feel like it is. I feel like it's a downplay in society. And the reason I did want to do this is because I want people to know how important it is about your mental health. It's very, very, very important.
And then, even looking at it from different cultures, different ethnicities.
Right.
Within our Black community, we don't have enough providers to understand us from a social economic, that's in line with who we are.
Right.
And that stops a lot of people from receiving services. I have people who prefer to work with me due to me being a black female, and they feel like I
More
relate
comfortable and
better.
stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I would say, like, for example, so, like when the police will be after certain individuals, and like when things would happen, they would be like, oh, such and such, they had a mental health problem. But then when it's this person, it's such and such, they're just a thug, and they're this and that. It's just the stereotype and the labeling, when in reality that person could have had a mental health problem. But because you are a different nationality, oh no, we don't believe in them having mental health problems. It's just, oh, they're just bad, they're just thugs, versus, oh, they had a mental health problem.
Right.
So yeah,
And
the
it stops
labeling.
us from wanting to reach out too.
Right.
Like I know for me personally, I was scared of the label. I can't. Oh my God, nobody can know I have depression or I have anxiety or I didn't want the label.
Yeah.
I was raised church going black household, so you got a problem, you go to church, you pray about it. But it's okay. That I've learned now in my adult life, and I teach my children, it is okay to need the extra steps. While I am very spiritual, and my spirituality takes me so far, but it's okay to have a therapist. It's okay to be able to say the word and then get that advice back. And if you need medication, that's okay too. But we don't talk about that enough in the black community.
Because we're worried about what people will say.
Exactly.
And it's sad that it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be worried about what someone says. You should be worried more about your health.
Exactly.
And getting the help that you do need.
Exactly.
I mean, you ladies, like, we could like break this down on so many levels.
Yeah.
Just being black women in the mental health arena, presents its whole different share of challenges. We have those certain stereotypes that we're supposed to be strong and we don't break, and those play a factor too in us looking for the help. Being a mother, people think that because I'm a mom, if I reach out for help, they may take my kids. That prevents.
Yeah, true.
I mean, there's just so many factors that goes into this big thing of mental health. It can be broken down into different categories because each culture, each ethnicity is represented differently.
Right.
So even down to the male female part. Our black males, they don't believe in counseling. We just got to the point to where it's like, we'll go. So getting over those challenges is challenging. Just for our community.
Absolutely.
And I love where I am in this field because I get to make a difference within our community. And, it may be a small difference, but I'm making a difference.
That's all that matters.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Any more questions?
So what about the statistics and like when it comes to the mental health?
Oh.
Let's get started.
Okay. So definitely, Tony, like I said, we can break this down in so many ways. Like, what you want to know? What statistics do you want? Is
to know like how many people basically are going through this mental health, because I think to bringing more awareness to people, that will help out, because people probably don't even really know how many people are suffering from mental health.
Just overall, like I said, 1 in 5 adults in America experience a mental illness. That's nearly 1 in 25 adults in America.
Wow.
That's 10 million people.
Wow.
It's estimated that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men will experience major depression in their lives.
Wow. Yeah.
So as we see,
I know I suffer from depression from time to time. So yeah.
Right. And even even with that, it's the small things to help us get over that.
Yes.
Getting up in the morning, opening your window, letting the sun in. It's small things like that could assist us with developing a positive mental health perspective.
Yeah. And staying positive.
Right. So in looking at from 2019 up until 2021, mental health treatment has increased from 19.2% to 21.6%. Wow. And that's 42% of the adult population that has a diagnosable condition that was reported in 2023.
Oh, wow.
And with that high number, they still could not access the treatment that they needed. Oh. So shows you where we are and where priorities lie.
Right.
And this is just overall. This is not black. This is not broken down black, white. This is just overall the American people.
Yes.
Wow.
And, you know, when you asked about the kids, 10% of youth covered by private insurance, they didn't have access to mental health services in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
The most needed service they didn't have access to. And a lot of employers are just now starting to cover mental health services.
Yeah, that's really important. That's something that I feel like they should look into trying to bring on and happen on their insurance policy.
Yep.
A report was done and it stated that only one provider was available for every 350 individuals. Wow. Interesting.
One?
I believe that.
Wow.
I believe that. In 2021, I tried to.
And just, you know, just knowing what COVID and what everybody went through and how you really saw the mental health go up from people losing their parents, their siblings, their children, their friends, you know, it was just crazy. I'm sure during COVID, somebody lost someone they loved or cared about.
Well, that also brought an increase in domestic violence as well. It also brought an increase in domestic violence, child abuse, and things like that. Because, like you said, that everybody was in the same
household,
right? So you know, with that, the outlets that people had to get out of these situations, they no longer had that during COVID.
Wow.
So and it's pretty interesting because you found out, just like you said, you got to know your kids. You found out you may not even like your spouse.
Right.
I mean, people found out a lot of stuff during COVID. And
it didn't really bother me because it was just me and my son. It's always really been me and my son because my oldest, he's been, you know, gone since he was 18 and now he's 23. So it's just basically me and my son for some years anyway. So I guess it really didn't bother me when he had to, you know, stay home for COVID and stuff like that. But everybody's situation is different, especially if it's multiple, you know, personalities and children in the home.
I had the 16-year-old, the 13-year-old, the 9-year-old, and the now 3-year-old. These are their current ages, but I had it in each grade level, or each school level rather, high school, middle school, elementary, and it was a lot. And then they're fighting with each other, because where, you know, 8 hours of their days would be spent away, and then they come home, and everybody got the opportunity to miss each other.
Right.
You know, you don't get that. You didn't get that for.
True.
And it took a toll. And then access to care was not, because if you didn't have COVID, we're told don't even go to the hospital. Don't try. Your doctor's not available. And I remember trying to get therapy for one of my sons, just, you know, as a check-in, and they politely told me, we cannot help you. Is your child actively suicidal? No. Well, then it's about a 6 to 8 month wait right now. So, and we had insurance, we have private insurance. So it was, you know, it was a mess. It was a time. It was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
All right.
I mean, and just think like mentally, like you were really going through there.
Yeah.
You know, you may appear to be okay on the outside, but mentally you were really going through it.
Yeah.
You're right.
You know, as a mom, you know, looking at you're trying to keep everything together.
Right.
You're trying to keep yourself
Watching
together.
the news just made it even worse, so, you know.
Right.
Yeah. And the kids were watching the news, and so it got to a point where we couldn't watch it anymore.
Yeah,
my kids started having nightmares. One of them started having nightmares about the news, and you don't, you know, when you're in that moment, you don't realize, oh my gosh, I'm really going through it. You just on, you know, your robot mode. I gotta, you know, be strong for my children. It wasn't really until they got to go back to school that I stepped back and was like, we went through it, and that took a toll. Maybe I need to talk to somebody. So it was a time. Like I said, it was a time. I'm very thankful that we made it out of that time. Well, many didn't.
Right.
So I'm truly thankful that my family wasn't harmed. And I personally have not lost anybody to COVID. Thank you. But we still went through it too.
And I mean, even with that, it's fair to say that we all experience PTSD from this situation. Very fair to say.
I think it taught a lot of people to start doing online shopping.
Yep.
I noticed how a lot of people turn to getting groceries picked up or delivered, which I've been doing that. But I mean, I noticed a lot of more people started doing that. So I said, they're learning, but, going through a lot of things, it'll teach you stuff. So, yeah.
And I think, a lot of the people that I work with, a lot of it is them understanding who they are, because we could go, and somebody may say, hey, I think you need to, relax or sit down. And, it's like, no. But you have to take that step to get this care. You have to.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're working with someone who's in line with what you want out of it. Mental health treatment should be person-centered, which means for you. No one size fits all, because your situation
could be totally
is
different
from
the next person.
So you need to make sure that person that's working with you is your person, because otherwise it's going to give you more mental health issues. Just trying to figure it out. You'll be stressed going to see them. On top of everything that you already have. Interview your therapist. Make sure, just don't book an appointment just because you need to go. Make sure that this is your person.
Right.
And that's very important in order to get to the positive state of mental health.
Yeah, totally agree. And then also, being in relationships, you got to make sure the partner and the person that you with don't have mental health problems. Because again, sometimes they can have mental health problems to swear up and down. They don't, and they do. And so you just all about being careful of who it is that you align with and you get with.
Yeah.
Oh, Tony, that's a whole nother topic. That is a whole nother topic. Yes.
I need a part 2.
That's all right. I can talk your head off on that one.
But that is so true. That is so true. I witnessed a situation, and I've seen some situations, but this situation just kind of threw me off. Went to visit someone. They were having issues with their significant other. I am not sure what happened. I'm so not sure what happened. But he dropped so many F-bombs. It was just straight disrespectful. And, it was enough to send someone over the edge.
Right.
In placing and I had to explain to her that somebody else is controlling your mental health at that point. If you're not trying to get out of the situation, that was enough to drive you over the edge. And it's quite clear to me that not only do you have a mental health issue, but your partner does as well. And only one of you are seeking help, so that's a problem.
Yes.
So that's a whole nother.
Yeah, it could be definitely a part 2 topic.
Right.
Yes.
But again, I just want to let y'all know I appreciate you coming aboard, Miss Charlie, and
Thank you so
just
much.
letting everyone know more a little bit about the facts and about the mental health. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Again, as always, y'all can leave y'all feedback below. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.